Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
This is Season 1, Episode 24 of Hockey Talk on Wisp Sports. I'm Shannon Miller, and at Wisp Sports, we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage. I'm delighted to announce my sponsor, Yugo. Yugo is a company started by two women who invented a great product that can be valuable to everyone. Let's hear more about Yugo.
Have you ever thought you had the best protection for your phone only to find it failed? Yugo to the rescue, the only waterproof life jacket for your phone using a dry suit zipper closure. Your phone has full functionality while inside, and best of all, Yugo floats. Use promo code HockeyTalk and check us out at yugowear.com. That is UGOWEAR.com.
Today's guest is four-time Olympic gold medalist Hayley Wickenheiser. Hayley is currently the new Assistant Director of Player Development in the NHL for the Toronto Maple Leafs. In today's episode, we will talk about the many things that have contributed to Hayley Wickenheiser's success, her insights on the many things coaches and athletes face today, as well as what she's doing now and her future plans. Each Thursday, I have posted a Drill of the Week on my Coach Shannon Miller Facebook page. To end this season's Hockey Talk podcast and Drill of the Week segment, I will be posting books that would be a great read in the off-season for athletes and coaches. This will be posted on my Facebook page at Coach Shannon Miller on Thursday. Thank you for joining me for our last podcast of Season 1. I'm honored to have my own hockey podcast show on Wisp Sports and to be part of the most popular and influential podcast organization for women in sports globally. Today's podcast is titled Wickenheiser Insights on Excellence. I'd like to welcome my guest today, Hayley Wickenheiser. Hayley is a four-time Olympic gold medalist, and she recently retired from Team Canada in 2017, finishing her career as the leading scorer for the national team. Hayley now works at the NHL as the Assistant Director of Player Development for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Welcome to Hockey Talk, Hayley.
Thanks, Shannon. It's good to chat with you.
Yeah. So, Hayley, you've had a long and incredibly successful playing career. You were recently inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame, the International Hockey Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
And that's a big deal. And you've got a lot going on now. So let's just start by talking about what you're up to right now.
Yeah, so I guess life is a bit of a whirlwind since I retired. I started medical school right away, and at the same time got hired with the Toronto Maple Leafs and working in player development. So I spend my time between Calgary, going to med school, and Toronto, working in hockey. So it's busy, but I actually really love what I do. I get kind of the best of both worlds right now.
Yeah, good for you. So spending time in Calgary and Toronto, not exactly two cities that are close together. But
yeah, living on airplanes, yeah.
No kidding. The good news is today you can work on airplanes, so which we were not available to do that a few years ago, but now you can. So good, that helps.
Yeah, no, it does for sure.
So Hayley, when I was just in Calgary, I experienced firsthand WickFest. What is WickFest, and what is your involvement in it?
Yeah, so WickFest is it's really people think of traditional hockey tournaments. It's not. It's more than that. We say it's much more than a hockey tournament. But we started it this year coming up. It'll be our 10th year. We work with, in Calgary, over 3,000 female players and their families come in from all around the world. So we've had teams from Canada and the US, as well as teams from India, China, Finland, Sweden, Mexico, as those are exotic places. And they come in, and basically what it is, they get 5 games guaranteed, but we do like a professional development weekend for girls in hockey. So we bring in top Olympic athletes from other sports, NHL personalities, mental training, nutrition, things like that. And we try to arm these girls with a lot of tools so that when they go back to their teams or their lives, wherever they live, that they're not only a better hockey player, but a more well-rounded athlete. And so it's kind of a passion project of mine. I started when I was still playing and wanted to be able to do something good for young girls in the game. And I just feel like young females don't get enough access to quality coaching and quality, instruction in how to be a good athlete. And so that's what we do. We've expanded now to Surrey, BC, just outside Vancouver. We'll be heading to Halifax and hopefully to the Greater Toronto area as well next. So it's been a lot of fun. It's taken some time to get traction, like everything does, but now NHL and the NHLPA are well on board with us and see the value in getting females in the game at a young age.
Well, it's a great mission and a great event. I witnessed it firsthand, and I wish you the best of luck with that because it is extremely important, and good for you for doing that.
Thank you.
So, Haley, I first began coaching you when you were 12 years old in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the first ever girls hockey team together.
Yeah.
Then Team Alberta for the Canada Winter Games, winning gold. And at the young age of 15, you made Team Canada, and we had a few good years there together as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to talk about your amazing smile, your amazing freckles, and your amazing family unit that you had around you. So I got to know you really well because I coached you for a long time when you were a young gal. I got to know your parents and your brother and your sister. So I did think you had this really strong family unit around you, the support, this love, and this foundation that you could build on, obviously, for years to come. And you did have this amazing smile with freckles. You did. And I want everybody to know that because everyone else knows the other side of Haley, which I'm going to talk about next, okay? But it was amazing. You were infectious. Not just your passion and your competitiveness, but it was your freckles, your smiles, and everything about you and your family being around the girls' game. So I loved your compete level. I loved your passion. And I'm talking about when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. So what importance did compete level and passion play in your success as an athlete?
Yeah, you're just bringing back lots of memories for me. I remember going up and down that highway between Calgary and Edmonton lots through the years. And we had lots of good times. I think I am an extreme competitor. There's no question about it. I hated to lose at any point in my career, and I'm very driven. So I would probably describe myself as, very intense and focused on the ice, and I'm not going to hold anything back. And then off the ice, I'm fairly laid back. So I think compete is everything. I think if you want to be a really successful athlete or business person, whatever you're doing, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and you have to want to go against the best every day and try and be better than you were the day before. So that's kind of what I always tried to do in my career, was just push myself outside my comfort zone and go to places that weren't comfortable. I guess now when I'm in medicine, I see it as well in this field, that I'm very comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that comes from my life in sport. So it was a big part of I think any success that I had, really less about anything other than work ethic and compete.
Yes, and I'm glad you made that point, because being uncomfortable is so important if you want to get better as an athlete or a coach. But I can tell you some of my recent experiences in coaching. There's a softness now where toughness used to reside. It's one of the things I like to talk about when I talk with athletes and coaches. And I was fortunate to be able to coach players like you who had that compete level, had that passion. And passion to me is basically authentic power. I mean, that's what it is. And it's all focused energy, focused to what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And I have to say, I love that about you from a very young age. And I know you're still like that today. And I think a lot of athletes could learn a lot from you. So I'm happy to see that you're mentoring young girls, and I hope that you continue to do so, because I could use a lot more Haley Wickenheisers on my hockey team, I can tell you that.
Well, I think, I certainly see it. I mean, even working Leafs and Marlies and these players on the male side that are, in their low 20s. My son is 19 now, so you don't talk to a player the same way as you did 10, 15 years ago, and it's changed a bit. But I guess part of getting older is, oh, they're softer than they were when I played. But I do see that there's a lot more distractions now. There's a lot more stuff for players to do and trouble to get into. And, they are less focused in some ways because of that. And so they become a little bit less resilient. And resiliency is everything when you are doing something hard. It's, if you're not going to be able to handle the grind that comes with trying to be one of the best, then you kind of crumble and fall under pressure. And so I always like playing with those players that I could look them in the eye in the moment of truth and I knew they would be there. Those were my favorite teammates to have over the years, regardless of their skill. It was just, are they going to show up or not and give what they could?
Oh, I love that. And you were such a great example of that. That's great. So that leads us into mental toughness, Haley. Mental toughness is required, obviously, by coaches and athletes to be able to handle pressure, embrace pressure, and to win under pressure. So over the years as a coach, I've gone through all different stages of development with regards to mental toughness. And at some point in my career, I began meditation. It has allowed me to build up my own mental strength. It's taught me and given me the skills to go back to my center when something's going wrong and when there's chaos. Just the ability to reset, to use cue words to help me reset and to help keep me in the zone. So what's the important mental toughness to you as an athlete, and how have you developed those skills over the years?
Yeah, I think mental toughness and resiliency, if I look at the greatest athletes that I've ever had the pleasure of either training with or being around, it's the word that I have is resiliency. And then why is that? And so I just boil it down to being prepared, because I think in the moment of truth, whatever that is for anybody, that you're always going to go back to the habits that you know best, whether those are, when people are under stress, sometimes they smoke, they drink, or when athletes are under stress, sometimes they crumble or they rise up. And why is that? And I think it's deliberate, conscious effort to put yourself in uncomfortable places. And then for me, it was always, I'm going to prepare as much as I can so that when I step on the ice for the gold medal games of the Olympics, I actually, people say you must be nervous. I'm actually the least nervous of any time. Because I feel like there was nothing else that I could have humanly done to be ready for that moment. And all I have to do is bring my best. And at some point, things are also out of your control. You're a player, you're one of 20 players, and you only can do what you can do. So you kind of have to have the ability to surrender the control and the outcome. And so I think those are things that I worked on a lot, through my career. I wasn't super good at that early on. And then, the last 5-6 years of my career, I really had the ability to surrender and try to allow myself to play really free. And now I take all those skills into medicine and I do the same thing. When I'm in a huge exam or under pressure and people are watching, I talk to myself and I repeat the same habits that I did when I was an athlete. And I see how it's really helping me in another area of life and things that I didn't realize were tools as an athlete.
Well, exactly. And Haley, you grew up as a young athlete in my eyesight. I mean, I was one of your coaches when you were younger. And so it's kind of funny because our paths have paralleled in a way. You were a young athlete working towards becoming an elite athlete. I was a young coach in the beginning of my career when I was coaching you and striving towards being an excellent coach, an elite level coach. And so in a way, our world of hockey has paralleled each other. So when you talk about being able to go into, for example, skate out on the ice for a gold medal game, and you're as calm as you could possibly be because you've done everything and you're so ready, and it's a beautiful moment. I too am at that point in my coaching career, but boy, does it ever take a long time to get there as an athlete and as a coach. But when you get there, it's beauty.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I don't think it's something that innately is in every athlete. I think most great athletes, again, that I've been around, or performers, everyone has fear. Everybody's afraid to fail. Nobody wants to lose. Those are natural human emotions. It's just acknowledging those. And then, I always say, like, allow the pain to come, talk to it, and then tell it to go away for a couple hours and come back after the game's over. And I think those are skills that you actually have to be conscious of practicing and working into your everyday. And, consistency is really the name of the game. And if you do those things day after day after day, I think it's to add up over time and it becomes automatic. And then you're not thinking, because you always play, I think, or coach your best when you're just completely in the moment. And that's always what I strive to do. It didn't always happen, but I always strive to do that.
Oh, that's a great point. So I often would say to my college athletes, to become great, we must be consistently good.
Mm-hmm.
It was just something I said on a regular basis. Yeah, very true. So Haley, for coaches, the art of reflection is really important, okay? And that's why I started doing a lot of meditation later in my coaching career. For athletes, reprogramming is extremely important. What I like about reprogramming is it's done by ourselves to ourselves to change our own thought patterns and behavior. Mm-hmm. You must be very skilled at reprogramming. So what is the importance of this tool to you? And can you give us some specific examples of how you've used it?
Yeah, I can definitely. 2 days ago, I can give you an example. I was in a med school exam where I had to perform stitching up an arm in front of someone who was evaluating me, and I was nervous. My hand started to actually shake because it was the first time I've ever been evaluated like that, and I actually stopped and just said out loud, "I'm just going to take a second," and I inside my head said, for God's sakes, this is not the Olympic gold medal final, get it together. And actually kind of calmed myself down to the point where my hand stopped shaking. I actually laughed out loud and kind of took the tension away in the room. And then I was able to finish the stitches, and it all went well. So again, same thing I would do a lot of times on the ice playing hockey is after a bad shift, I would take a drink of my water bottle and just spit it everywhere. And I'm sure my teammates will tell legendary stories of snot hanging off my mask or whatever, but I used to do that all the time, and I would, have a bad shift and spit it out, and just things like that, because you have to have a very short-term memory as an athlete. You have to be able to move on, and you're never defined by the one mistake you make. It's the series or the game after game that people remember, not one or two mistakes. So if you can get back on the horse as quick as possible, then you give yourself a chance to be consistent, which is, again, I think what good performances come down to.
Yeah, excellent. So Haley, as elite coaches and athletes, we work hard. We work really hard, and that's no secret to anybody that's involved in sport and has had a lot of success in sport. We're always pushing to get better. We're always striving for excellence. So to me, excellence is a blend of personal and professional, and it's accomplished by design, and it's a daily devotion to an area of specialization, just like what you're going through at med school. Mm-hmm. So the perspective that I've had is striving for excellence is not a burden, and I've always tried to get my athletes to embrace that and mm-hmm. teach it more. It's a choice, and we want to be here, and we want to be the best we can be. Mm-hmm. So you're naturally like that as well. So what are some of your daily habits that you hold yourself accountable to, or you hold yourself to a standard of excellence?
Well, right now, because life is different for me, I'm not an athlete competing every day anymore, but I have made a very conscious choice that I won't sacrifice my fitness, my health, my mental sanity for anything, for medicine, for working for the Leafs, like for anything, because it's that important to me. So what I actually was able to do, I built a gym in my garage. I just didn't have the time to get back and forth to the gym in the day. And so I had to figure out a way, because I actually found myself struggling mentally because I couldn't have that outlet that I used to have, and I need to train every day. So I built a gym in my garage, and I get up, drag myself to the garage every day and work out no matter what. And it's actually, I think, making me more productive and more efficient in the other stuff that I'm doing. So I think that's one thing. I think consistency. I think routine is really important. I'm a creature of routine. I like to, go to bed going to bed at a similar time, getting up at a similar time, and just having those daily good habits. And, with the young players we see now, like there's so much distraction on devices at night. So guys are playing, video games late into the night. And that really, not only does it hurt your body, it hurts your brain, and you don't play as well. So having that, that discipline as an athlete, you have to have that. And then when you go into other areas of life, it, I think, really helps. But those are challenges that, the world's top athletes face on a day-to-day basis too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Haley, you're not competing as an athlete anymore, but you were a great athlete for a long, long time, and you'll be seen and revered as a mentor to many young athletes coming up, boys and girls. And so one of the things that I like to talk about are, who are our toughest opponents? And I will refer to our toughest opponents as number one, our in-house opponents, players or staff that are causing problems for the team. Number two is doubt to me, and number three is fear. So we've touched a little bit on doubt and fear in our conversation about mental toughness and reprogramming. So when you were an athlete, what in your experience was the best way to tackle the tough opponent of in-house opponents?
That's a good question. I think that I learned early on the national team from a lot of the women that I played with who were much older than me and much more life experience, that the players that I admired, who when there was a problem, they would just tackle it head on, go right at it and fix it. And because in female sport especially, I mean, I always say two guys have a fight on the ice and they're best friends when they come to the rink the next day. And if two women had a fight on the ice, they wouldn't talk for 3 months and there would be drama around it, because women handle conflict differently. So I think in the scenarios that I've been in as a leader, whenever there's been difficulty or drama or whatever's gone on within the team, my personal approach is I'm a pretty straight shooter. I would hit it right head on and not let it linger and try to not let it fester and put out the fire right away. And I mean, if it got to a point where there was a player who was really not, pulling her own or hurting the team, I don't think I was ever afraid to say, you either got to step out or step up or get out, because that can kill a team. One person, we like to think, oh, the superstars get all the credit, but I guess you never win a gold medal without legitimately 20 players pulling their weight, and you can lose a gold medal with one player not pulling their weight and taking everybody down. So I think that those types of things are really, really important, and everybody has to feel in a team environment that they can say what they need to say and that it not be judged or held on to, and that people can move on. It takes a lot of maturity and accountability, but those I think are the healthiest and the best teams that I've been around. You don't have to always like each other, but you do have to have that respect at the end of the day.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And being on a team is a web of relationships, and it is about bonding. And I happen to agree with what you said about being honest and tackling things head on. I also agree with what you just said with regards to one player is not going to win you the gold medal, but one player can literally do enough damage on a team that you don't win a gold medal. When I'm mentoring coaches and athletes, I do talk about being on a team as a web of relationships. You work hard at getting to know each other and bonding, which requires deep listening, empathy, compassion, empowerment. You try not to judge, which you mentioned, all of those things. But even if you do all of those things and everybody makes a real effort, sometimes there is somebody, or sometimes in more cases more than one, that really are doing internal damage, and I call it internal bleeding, and it has to be stopped or it hurts everybody. So we're on the same page there.
Definitely. I agree.
So Haley, in your opinion, okay, so when you were an athlete, but you are working with a team now, in fact, you're working with a very good team and a great coaching staff. So in your opinion, when you're on a competitive team with elite athletes and the team is expected to win, what does the team need from A, the head coach, B, the assistant coaches, and C, the captains?
Ooh, that's a big question. All right. So from a head coach, I think a team, what I would say is a team needs black and white, clear direction. A team doesn't need a lot of, fluffy love and tenderness all the time, but a team needs to know that the head coach cares. No one really cares what you know, I guess, unless they know that you care about them. So for the head coach, I think, on every team, I've not always loved all my coaches, but the coaches that I've liked, I've always had that healthy respect for, that they be competent, that they're prepared, and that they not ask an athlete to do something that they're not willing to do themselves. I think that's for a coaching staff right across the board. A head coach has to have probably a little more distance than assistant coaches, who can get a little closer to the players and, take on that sort of softer role if need be. But a head coach has to also be afraid not to be disliked. Same with the leadership, the captains, the assistants. It's not a popularity contest at this time. It's about doing the right thing in the right situation, whether, your teammates are going to like you or not in the moment. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they'll probably respect you. So I think that that's also very important. And accountability. I think consistent communication. Say what you do and do what you say. No games. If you don't like something, say it straight up and give people a chance to adjust and not live in the dark. So in general, I think very open and honest communication and accountability. No one should, I think on an elite team, when you're trying to win a gold medal or a Stanley Cup, there is a certain bar that has to be met every day. And if you're not meeting it, there's the door. And that's just a matter of fact, because the stakes are very high and you're trying to win. Maybe it's different in minor hockey scenario or younger kids, but I'm talking about the most elite sport. So, and at the end of the day, you got to care. You got to care about each other. And I think if athletes know that the coaching staff really cares about them, then regardless of what happens, it comes back. You can always find a way out of the dark times, I think.
Yes. Well said, Haley. Well said. So, Haley, no matter what I've accomplished to this point in my life, I believe I haven't had my best idea yet, my most creative moment, and I've yet to reach my potential. And I'm 55. So at this point in your life, with all that you've accomplished, do you also feel this way? And if you do, how does that guide your dreams and your life?
Well, I think that's a good point. I'll say, in medicine, the more I learn about medicine, I like emergency medicine, the more I realize I know nothing. The more I know. And I guess, the same thing, it's kind of in sport. You're on the side of an athlete. I like to think that I was a student of the game and I know the game very well. And I'm here at the NHL level, and I'm still learning every day, whether it's working with players on a different way to communicate, or, the game is constantly evolving with skills and drills and the places that I, like to see the game go. So I think if you're always open to learning and evolving, then, you put yourself in a really good position to be around people that are a lot smarter than you. And that for me is a lot of fun right now, is to just, can I please go where I'm going to be the dumbest person in the room? Because I love to learn and I'm not afraid to make mistakes. And I think a lot of people are afraid to fail. And I think what sport and my life has given me is that I do have that courage. I'm not afraid to fail. So I'll try dumb things and put myself in those positions, where people maybe that didn't go through team sport, they might not have that confidence, or it's almost a skill, I guess, to be able to do that. So you can never stop learning. And I always think the best is still yet to come too. And I never think you're too old for anything either.
Right on. I hear ya. So, Haley, you've had an amazing playing career. You've been inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame, and congratulations again on that. I want to wish you the best as you move forward in med school, which is a huge mountain for you to climb, and with your new role with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm very proud of you. I have known you since you were 12 years old, and I've always been very proud of you, and I just want to wish you the best, and thank you for being a guest on the show.
Well, thanks, Shannon. No, it was nice to chat with you and catch up again, and same with you. I hope we'll see you back on the ice coaching again soon.
All right. Thanks, Wick.
Okay, thanks.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
I'd like to thank you for listening this season, and I wish you all a fantastic spring and summer. There are many more coaches from other sports to follow on Wisp Sports. I encourage you to enjoy doing that. And thank you to our sponsor, Yugo. Please visit them at yugowear.com. Follow and comment on social media. Twitter is at Wisp Sports. My Twitter is at Miller12Shannon. My Facebook and Instagram is at Coach Shannon Miller. My website is CoachShannonMiller.com. You can find links in the show notes for this episode at wispsports.com and find more coverage of women's sport. Thank you for supporting women in sport everywhere.